Thank you for having me. I am wearing my youth branding under here, but I realise that's Denmark colours, so is mildly probably not welcome this week. What fun passages we have! Oh, it's got heavens opening, it's got thorns in the flesh, it's got tormentors from Satan, it's got Jesus being unable to do miracles, it's got people not caring about what Jesus has to say, it's got us being told to heal the sick and cast out demons. We're going to have a fun 10 minutes. I'm going to do a wonderful, very important theological thing here, which is where when you're faced with a passage like this, the best thing to do, as I'm sure we're all aware, is to completely ignore it and talk about the Hobbit. So, long ago, we'll get somewhere with this, don't trust me. Long ago, there was a Hobbit. Now maybe you know everything there is to know about Hobbits, in which case, yes. Maybe you've never heard of Hobbits, in which case, don't worry. Just hold my hand and we'll get through this. This Hobbit's name was Bilbo Baggins. And Bilbo Baggins was a respectable Hobbit. He did what Hobbits do, he went where Hobbits went, and he said what Hobbits said. Until one day, when Bilbo Baggins went on an adventure. This, indeed, is shocking. And so we get to read Bilbo's story, Bilbo's adventure, and I recommend it. Great book. The highlights: he stands up against the great dreaded dragon Smaug and holds his own. Not only that, he tricks him and he wins the day. He stands on the battlefield of dwarves and men and elves, and he is the one who brings peace against these warring people. He is the one who saves his friends when they get into trouble time and time again, and he is the one who, at the end of it all, is remembered as Bilbo, the great and wonderful Bilbo, the one who came from this forgotten land of Hobbiton and changed our world forever. One day, people will hear of Bilbo's name in songs that will ring out in the halls of men and dwarves for generations. And he goes home. And for his hero's welcome, Bilbo finds that his neighbours have assumed or possibly hoped that he's died on his adventure, and they're selling off his fine silver spoons. And so Bilbo convinces them all that he is indeed alive, and then there's no hero's welcome. Worse than that, Bilbo isn't even welcomed back. The fact that Bilbo has gone on an adventure makes him no longer a respectable hobbit. Respectable hobbits don't do that. Respectable hobbits stay home and polish their fine silver spoons. They put on meals for the neighbours. They celebrate hobbity things. They do not talk to dragons. They do not spend time with dwarves. He was completely shunned. Back to Jesus. A little local lad grows up, the carpenter's son. We know him, we like him, he's one of us. And he goes off and he spends a bit of time doing some things that we're not quite sure of. You know, they don't have Facebook in those days, so they couldn't live stream Jesus' teaching, but maybe they've heard whisperings. Who knows? We don't get a hint of it. But we know, reading the Gospel, that wherever Jesus goes, people are healed, demons are cast out, people hear his teaching and they love it, it sets people free, it is a wonderful, fantastic thing happening. And the Pharisees don't like him because they're threatened, but otherwise, go Jesus. And he comes home, and we don't even have a clue what Jesus even teaches. It says he began to teach, and everyone's astounded and say, where did he get all this? What's he doing? This is Jesus. He's a carpenter's son, not some theologian. He's the little local lad who scuffed his knee and came to my door crying, asking for me to bandage it up. He's the one who played with my kids. He's the one who, when my chair broke, he's the one who put it back together. Who does he think he is, preaching at me? Who does this Jesus guy think he is, telling me how God works, telling me how I do stuff, telling me what? Right. He needs to get back in his lane. Local lads don't preach. Local lads don't do miracles. Local lads aren't going to come anywhere near me with your fancy magic tricks and get me healed. Thank you very much. I don't know why Jesus can't perform miracles here, but I imagine it's probably something to do with people not letting him. Because who on earth is he to think he can even try that on over here? We've read this book. We've read at least a bit of it today, but we've read a fair bit of it over our lives. And yes, Jesus is a local lad. Isn't that a beautiful thing? And we don't worship some Jesus who is this out there ivory tower, aloof Messiah type. He is a local lad. He came into the neighbourhood. He moved in. He spent his life amongst us. He knows what it's like to be us. That is beautiful. But if we say he can only do local lad things, we're going to be just like the people from his hometown. We're going to be just like them who say, hobbits don't go on adventures, so you're out. Local lads don't die and rise again, so we won't have it. Local lads don't call me to go out amongst the towns and villages and take nothing but sandals, although defensive sandals, they're great, right? But who is he to tell me to do these things? Get back in your box, Jesus. What boxes do we put Jesus in? What lanes do we tell Jesus he has to stay in? What do respectable Jesuses do and not do? Maybe we're comfortable with the Jesus, mighty conqueror, who died and rose again, and the enemy had him in his palms and lost. Maybe that's the Jesus we love. Maybe it's the Jesus who is there with the children, gathering them in, and is willing to be shunned because of who he welcomes. Maybe we like the Jesus who sits at the throne of heaven and has eternity in his hands. Maybe we like the Jesus whose hands threw stars into space and then to cruel nails were surrendered. Maybe. I think the problem isn't that Jesus is all those things. I think the problem is when we say Jesus can be this, and because he's this. And I am not going to be surprised. I am not going to let Jesus fit anywhere else. Because he is the great high priest over all, he doesn't know what it's like to be me. But no, he does know what it's like to be me. But then he can't be all-powerful. But because he is all-powerful, and we get ourselves tied in knots. I think we need to get ready for Jesus to surprise us, to constantly show us new things that he is, to constantly defy our figuring him out. Does he make sense? Or can he deal with our questions, our doubts? Can he deal with the brand new places we find ourselves? Well, let's look again at these tricky parts of the passages. Because it's not just a theological musing, it's not just a philosophical airy-fairy. We have two groups of people in our gospel passage. We have those who expected Jesus to stay in his lane, to do what he knows best, to be a carpenter, and they missed out on the greatest teaching that there's ever been. They missed out on this miracle worker. There were people who that day went home sick who didn't have to. They missed out on something utterly beautiful. And then there's the disciples, the 12, who get told to do something ridiculous. Go out with nothing, you've got this. They take a chance on him, they take him at his word, and they live a life more full of wonder and goodness and wholeness than they could have ever expected. So, which one will we do? Will we take Jesus in the lane or the box that we're most comfortable with him being? Will we take him at his word and let him be absolutely all that he promises to be? I'll leave that hanging.